Hello there. How are you? So let's talk for a second about triggers. I talk a lot about triggers in some of my past videos, and there's a triggers training you can go have. But I'm going to tell you this, that when life gets hard and interesting, scary, a whole bunch of things, is probably when you're triggered. And what is a trigger? So trigger is, imagine this, that somewhere in the bottom of your pelvis, in your heart, in your body, and in your myofascia is an event that really pissed you off, and it's got a whole bunch of emotion, energy, fear, anger, etc., etc. And you didn't have the strength or the ability to respond to it in that moment. So you basically made it into a bubble, squeezed it down, shoved it down as low as it can go in your pelvis, under your heart, etc. And you created all this armor and these rules that say, hey, I'm not going to let my dad talk to me like that again, or I'm not going to let this happen with my partner, or whatever. When something finally comes into your life that is direct enough or is similar enough to that situation, it can be another person, completely different situation, but that bubble pops. Poof! And you are like, dealing with all this friggin' emotion, energy, frustration, sadness, fear, whatever. And you're instantly in fight or flight in most cases, or if you're not, you could be freezing, fawning, or you could be attacking the other person saying, what the fuck is going on here? And that other person could be completely confused because they do not know why all this energy came at them just for saying one word or a tone or maybe touching them on the shoulder or something. Somebody you know, but that trigger point triggered you. So what do you do in that moment? Most people just react. They react. But we need to, as human beings, to learn what's going on in our nervous system. What just happened? And most of the time, most people aren't going to know what just happened. They won't even be able to go back to the event. But if at minimum, you can go do this. Hold on. Or if you can't even go hold on, just put your hand up and step back and start breathing. Get some breath in, because the instant is going to be you wanting to stop, and it's going to crush you. You're going to be like, your chest's going to be tight, and you're going to be like, what the fuck is going on here? And you don't know. So to be emotionally intelligent, this is another thing that we're going to learn. You are probably not in your best behavior to react, to be angry, to start hitting somebody you love, or a sister or brother or parent. That's a lot of time when young kids get triggered and they're hitting each other. That's their triggers. So the trigger now has control of your nervous system. It is trying to respond to that energy that just popped in that bubble down in your belly or lower in your body. And it's trying to process it, and it doesn't know why. That's why we need the space. We need to step back and take a breath. The breath is key because it starts to move the energy. The more breath we can have, instantly, most people, when they're triggered, their chest will shrink and they'll be breathing only the top third of their lungs. And their pulse and blood pressure will rise, and they won't know what's going on. So how do we recognize this in ourselves, and how do we start to deal with it? So I've mentioned some of them, but what I'm recommending is we build a triggers workshop. This is something that I've been talking about for a long time, where in reality you can work with another person and we can build situations that will create a trigger, but only after you've been given the tools to be able to deal with it. And then you're going to have somebody say, don't call me fat. Don't call me fat. That was a trigger for me when I was younger. And then you'll get that person to call you fat. What the fuck do you mean I'm fat? Or blah, 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 blah. That would be the normal response. But we're going to train a new response. We're going to say, okay, why does that bother me? And then step back and, okay, I feel the energy. And now how do I move the energy? Breathing. And start to feel it in your body. You may not be able to process it in that exact moment, but instead of reacting, hitting, being not emotionally intelligent, saying, fuck off, you asshole, or whatever the typical is, we're going to encourage you to get to that triggered state and work with the other person, step back and ensure a boundary. And then maybe the best choice is to walk away, because right now you're not in a place that could handle that energy. And then how do you process it? Okay, sit down in a corner where you're safe, away from that person. Tell that person that I'm not willing to talk about this right now. I'm triggered. And guess what? You start to look at it and say, holy crap, I feel this thing in my body. Now you're going to have to go and make a little bit of friends with it. That sounds kind of ugly, but it's a part of you that ran away the first time. You're going to have to make a friend with that part and say, okay, what's going on here? My dad said this. My mom did that. My brother did this. My ex did that. There's a million things that could cause it. And now we're going to start to become aware of ourselves. And this is the most important thing you'll ever learn, because once you know what's going on inside of you, you're not going to be a crazy person to the other person that you're talking to. You're not going to be why the fuck did she just try and hit me or hurt me or whatever just because I said, excuse me, or something simple like that. But if that's what that person did when that bubble was closed, it may pop the bubble in that moment and you're triggered. You do not know why you're triggered. You have to step back until you understand what's going on. Or you have to build a mechanism to set a boundary and say, excuse me, I'm triggered right now. Can you just let me breathe for a few minutes? I'll maybe come back to you when I'm better, but it might take me a while. Simple as that. That other person does not get ripped and destroyed and not know what the fuck is going on. That person is like, holy cow, this person is powerful. They're dealing with their shit for themselves. Now, in time, I want to encourage communities where the whole community is aware of what triggers are. And when people get in triggered states, and they can say, hey, it's looking like you're triggered. Can you take a breath for a sec? Yeah, you might not like it and you want to, but they may save you from harming another person. Reflecting to you and saying, hold on, that energy doesn't even belong to that person. Can you maybe come over here and either you can breathe it out or we'll talk it over with you, but to let it run rampant like it does in society now is not helping anyone. If anything, a trigger that's not recognized in you will create a new trigger and a new trauma in somebody else. You heard the term hurt people. Well, that's exactly what's going on. So we don't want to keep hurting people. We don't want to propagate the blame. We want to take self-responsibility. We want to be accountable when that anger comes up or you're being cut off or whatever. Wouldn't you just love if there was a safe place where people could say, hey, you're looking pretty frustrated and angry right now. Can you maybe take a sec? Oh, you might not like that or whatever, but you need that reflection sometimes because it's just popped out of nowhere. It looks like you're triggered. Take a breath. Just breathe for like 5, 10, 15, 20 seconds. Square breathing, 6 seconds each 6 seconds in. Hold for 6 seconds. Pardon me. Breathe out for 6 seconds. Hold for 6 seconds. Breathe out. Breathe in. Do that for 2 minutes. That breathing technique is actually taught by the U.S. military for people that are in the middle of combat situations to deal with their shit. So, I did not listen to you, Anne-Marie Dumont says. I'm triggered as hell. Okay, breathe. Use that 6 second breathing technique. So breathe in for 6. Hold it. 6 seconds. Let it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Hold it out for 6 seconds. Do that until, in a square like that, until you can start to breathe and you can start to feel normal. And all of a sudden you're starting to say, okay, I feel this. Yes, this is my ex-husband. His energy looks a lot like him. And I can't talk to my ex-husband, but maybe I can deal with it here. It's amazing. Like I said, the U.S. military uses this with combat guys. Can you imagine guys that are about to get shot and run around and explosions going on all over the place? Catch your breath because you can't think. If you're responding and reacting, you're running away, you're hiding, you're whatever. It's like being in combat, to be in a room with a person that triggers you. And acknowledge that right here and right now. It's hard. Anne-Marie says it works. So try and control your trigger with that breathing. Step back so you can have some space and you can start to process. You can start to say, oh, what is that? Where did that come from? Oh, I remember my dad. He pissed me off. Anne-Marie mentions he lives with a man who triggers the shit out of her. I will tell you right now, the people we bring into our relationships are probably the people that'll trigger us the most. because we attract in equal and opposite vibrations. His trigger is something else, and you're going to find out what that is. And it can be a shooting war between two people in a couple situation. One triggers the other triggers that. One of my triggers is I want to fix women because I had a wounded mother and I want to fix them so that I don't have to deal with a wounded mother anymore. So as soon as they start complaining or sad or whatever, I've had to learn to hold space for those energies. No longer see them as wounded or somebody that's broken, but hold them accountable and say, excuse me, I'm going through this right now. I'm having a triggers training in a relationship that I'm trying to deal with right now. And each time I see a behavior that triggers me, a wounded girl or whining or narcissism or overly emotional, I'll hold them accountable and say, what's going on here? Why are you crying? Why are you angry? Why are you shouting at me? Why are you doing all these things? And I don't have to accept it. This is kind of interesting where it gets really cool. You don't have to accept it. That trigger, you thought you had to accept it because we're in a marriage or we're in a relationship or we're a couple or brother and sister or mom and son, dad, mother, whatever words fit. We have a choice. And especially when we can learn to step back and say, in this moment, instead of engaging and then bumping chests against and, I want to kill you or whatever, take a breath. Do that 6 second square breathing. You will be surprised. The trigger will drop down. And then I want you to just be curious. This will save you like you will not believe. Being curious. Just ask, what's going on in my body right now? Why am I so angry? They just said a word. Get curious. And you're going to sit there and answers are going to come up. Oh, Dad did that. That's exactly what Dad did last time, or that's what Mom did, or that's what my sister did, or that's what my ex did. And then he always hit me, or he always did something to me, or he always caused pain. Guess what? That's not this situation right now, but that angry, twisted, frustrated energy is stuck. Let's get that emotion moving. Emotion is energy in motion. And if it gets trapped and is put in a bubble, it will torment you until the day you die, until you go and process it. So find a time after this is all calmed down, go find your bedroom or get a pillow or whatever and cry and scream and let all that emotion out. And you know where it is. And it's like a loaded landmine just waiting to blow up in your face and destroy your marriage, destroy your relationship, destroy you, get them angry and you hurt them or they hurt you and nobody wins. But now that you know where the trigger is and you know the tool to step back in that moment, you now are completely aware of it. You might have to wait 20 minutes a day, 3 days a week before you're going to be able to process that energy, but you know where that landmine is. You put a little flag on it and say, this is not serving me. I'm going to hurt them or I'm going to hurt myself or I'm going to hate them or whatever. Go look at it. All of a sudden, now you dealt with it with Dad or Mom or whatever, and now all of a sudden your ex is not the punching bag. Vice versa. So go sit with that energy afterwards. That energy should have been dealt with when the time happened, but you weren't capable of it. That's our protection mechanism, is building that bubble around it and pushing it down as low as it can go and then building armor and rules and all this kind of stuff. And we friggin' destroy our whole life because we can't have sex now because we got raped, or we can't kiss or be intimate with our lover because we're angry at them. But it's not even our lover. It's our dad. It's our mom. It's some other version of love that we didn't even know got broken. So I don't want to make this too long, but hopefully, Anne-Marie, this will help you. And those people that trigger us, just understand they're not a curse. Sometimes they're a lesson. They're happening for us, not to us. We're not a victim to them. If we take responsibility for whatever shows up, then you're not a victim. Then you can start making requests and say, hey, don't talk to me like that. That's too direct. You're being accusatory or you're being angry. Don't project that at me, but I'm willing to have a conversation because they may be triggered too. Guess what? Once you know how to deal with your trigger, you can help them deal with theirs. Take a breath, 6 second breath. We're not going to talk about this until you deal with this. They may not like it, but after they've done it, they will know damn well that this is the thing that's going to get you both through it. That simple. Share this video. If it works for you and you love it, share it. People need to have these tools. This is destroying marriages. This is destroying lives. This is destroying everything every day. And you're not even dealing with the energy of the person you're involved with. Once you know all this, awareness changes everything. You have that 6-second square breathing all the way around. 6 seconds breathe in, 6 seconds after breathing out, 6 seconds breathing in, 6 seconds after breathing in. So you just keep going in a circle. Sorry, I mangled that up. It's in for 6, hold for 6, out for 6, hold for 6. And you will be surprised. And you're welcome, Anne-Marie. And these little things will change our lives. And I hope it works for you. Have a good day.